interesting topic actually has come up, and our esteemed speaker today is Dr. Naseem Naqvi. He's the president of the British Blockchain Association, and he's going to talk about evidence-based blockchain. Uh, Dr. Naqvi is the president and principal fellow of the British Blockchain Association. He is also the founding chair, Center for Evidence-Based Blockchain. He is also named the think tank and listed in the top 40 blockchain influences in the UK and listed by the UK All Parliamentary Party. He is the first person in the world to coin the term evidence-based blockchain. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Naseem Naqvi. He's joining us all the way from London, UK. Dr. Naqvi, you can take the stage now.
Thank you very much, Sarfraz. Thank you to Blockjakarta conference for inviting me. It's an honor to be here, and lovely to meet you all. If you can hear me, can you please do a few thumbs up so I can see that you can hear me all right? Very good. Thanks for that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post those on the discussion tab, and I will try my best to answer as many as I can. I'm told I could do this afterwards. So let me start. So this is one area where I've been very passionate about for the past many years, how we can make better decisions, and not just in business and in our organizations, but also in our lives. The quality of our lives and our businesses and our career depends on the quality of our decisions. And this is a very important area and something which is sometimes overlooked. We don't think about it, but the fact is that we make many decisions during a day, and if we make good decisions, we will have better outcomes, and we will achieve better results. So what is the cost of poor decision making? Well, I want to give you an example. You may have seen this already. This was last year when evidence-based policy making became a law in the United States. This was a bill signed by the president, and the history behind it is that they looked at 10 community projects, and they found out that 9 out of those 10 were not based on any scientific evidence. And each program was about $9 billion program. They were 10 years programs, and they looked at all of them, and they found out that they were losing $90 billion over that decade. And it's not million, it's $90 billion. So then they looked at it, and then they came up with making this actually formally a law. So if you are not making evidence-based policy making decisions, it's against the law in the United States. So it's very, very important to understand. This is from last year, U.S. Securities and Exchange Commissioner Hester Pierce talking about digital assets and cross-border cooperation regulation. And she is quoted here a paper from our journal, the Journal of the British Blockchain Association, which is a open access peer-reviewed journal. And here she is quoting a paper on tokenomics and the place of Singapore. This is the paper. It's fully open access, free to read. You can go and have a look at it. So the point here is that the policymakers at the highest level are now referring to high quality scientific peer-reviewed research when they are making decisions. So what is evidence-based decision making, and what are the facts and figures? So it cut failure rates by 50%. So if you made a decision based on intuition, gut feeling, or whatever, and then you're making a decision based on evidence, you are cutting your failure rate by 50%. You also increase the number of right business decisions by 6-fold. And what it means is that if you make 100 decisions, and let's say your average success rate is 10, So 10 times out of 100, you get the decision right. If you practice evidence-based decision making, you will increase it up to 60. So that's quite a significant increase in the number of right decisions that you make. You achieve desired results most of the time, and you even exceed expectations 40% of the time. And here is the key. 98% of organizations and businesses fail to make evidence-based decisions. So this is what we are going to talk about. What is it and how we can make better decisions? So giving you some context in history, what is it, and the 5-step approach to practicing evidence-based decision making. So we are surrounded by opinions. We hear these opinions all the time from various sources, and people saying blockchain is all hype. There is no reality. Enterprise blockchains are a fad. Blockchain projects are no good. Everything is doomed. And these are all opinions. We hear them, we see them all the time. And we also have a very quite extremely optimistic view of blockchain as well from experts and speakers. Blockchain is going to disrupt everything. It's the next best thing. It's going to revolutionize all the different things. And I think this is, again, is this evidence-based? Is blockchain really going to disrupt every industry? So what should you do if you hear these opinions? I mean, I think you have to scientifically evaluate these opinions, especially if you are a senior decision maker in your organization and you are in charge of the money, you are in charge of the finances, you are in charge of people. Then it's very important that you make scientific evidence-based decisions. So what is evidence-based blockchain? So don't worry about some of the words that are mentioned here, but I want you to understand the meaning behind them. So it's conscientious, explicit, and judicious decision making based on professional expertise and the best available organizational, stakeholder, and scientific evidence. So conscientious means you actively try. Explicit means you write them down. What exactly is the problem and what are you going to do with it? Which sources are you going to consult and so on? And judicious means you make a judgment based on all the information that you have acquired. And you take into account 4 sources of evidence: your own professional expertise, your organizational evidence, any data that you or your organization has collected, evidence from stakeholders. So if you are a part of a consortium, Enterprise Ethereum Alliance or Corda Alliance or IBM Alliance or whatever, and so do you have to look at which organizations have similar problems and they are a part of the similar consortium solving similar problems, have similar challenges, and scientific evidence, which is external evidence from external sources, from double-blind peer-reviewed articles published in the literature. So these are the 4 sources of evidence. So there are 5 steps to practicing evidence-based blockchain. These are very easy. Anybody can use them, and everybody should be using them. So first of all, you formulate a precise question. You ask, what's the problem? What's going on? And I think it's important to understand here is that you look at both the problem and the solution itself. So you have to clearly define, does this problem actually exist? The thing that I'm going to use my blockchain for, is this really a problem? Because one of the problems we have now is called solutioneering. So we tend to apply blockchain to everything, even if there was no such problem exist, or even if it's not that big of a magnitude. Because we have a distributed ledger, we try and just somehow fix this solution to it. So you have to look at the evidence, the scientific evidence. Is this really a problem? How big is it? Have I got evidence that this problem actually exists? And then you look at the solution. So you search for the evidence, looking for all 4 sources, and so you acquire this information. The third step is extremely important, is a critical appraisal of the evidence, which means you appraise the quality of the evidence. Is it really trustworthy? Can I rely on it? Is it valid? Is it reliable? Can I use it for my own particular problem? Not because this thing has worked in some other country or some other organization, but for my own personal company, organization in my country, is this applicable? Okay. So you critically appraise the evidence. Then you apply the results to your own practice, and then you assess the changes. You monitor the results. Did it work? Did it not work? Why it didn't work? So the easy way to remember evidence-based blockchain is a 5A approach. 5A: ask, acquire, appraise, apply, assess. Easy to remember. Everybody can do it. Everybody should do it. So evidence-based practice has been around for some time. It started in medicine in the early 80s, and then really spread across most disciplines, including social care, justice, human resources management, and perhaps most recently in blockchain and distributed ledgers. And many countries are already on it. They have been using it as an integral part of their policy making process, their legislation processes. This is USA, Australia, European Commission has an evidence-based policy making group on education and training. Evidence-based policy making Japan, evidence-based policy making Singapore. There are many books written on various different topics of evidence-based practice. Healthcare, this is University of Oxford offering MSc and PhD programs in evidence-based practice. We have a Center for Evidence-Based Blockchain in the UK. Evidence-based cybersecurity, evidence-based investing. Different universities are taking part in it. This is the cover of one of our JBBA issues, highlighting the importance of evidence-based blockchain distributed ledgers. Universities are offering courses. This is King's College London offering a course on evidence-based practice, and so on. So I think it's very clear up till now that we need evidence-based decision making, its significance. But what problems does it solve? Well, it goes back to the 5 A's of the fundamental principles of evidence-based decision making, because we are not very good at asking the questions. We are not very good at searching the right information, how to evaluate the information, how to apply the information, and how to assess the outcomes. So there are 5 steps, as we discussed, and let's look at some of the examples. So let's say you want to have a better understanding of how governments are using blockchain and what are the challenges for them. So you look at this paper that we published in the JBBA, what happens when governments are in charge of blockchain projects. Similarly, you are going to roll out a blockchain solution for your population. How do consumers see it? Why would they use blockchain? So what is in it for them? And this is again an open access peer-reviewed research paper, which will help you in better understanding of this topic. What happens when you invest in coin offerings and cryptos, and how does your own behavior and your own behavioral mechanisms are intervene and apply to those investment decisions? So again, this is, you will find the science will help you here in having a better understanding. So just to give you a very practical example of starting with the question ask. So the first component of evidence-based blockchain. So ask is asking a question. So this is a question: should I use blockchain for my supply chain business? Let's say you have a supply chain business, you're a company, you're an organization. Should you use blockchain? I think this is a very poor question. The reason is because there are different segments of your blockchain business. You may not need blockchain for all of them. You may need blockchain for all of them. What exactly are you trying to achieve? In which country does your system, your business operates? Who are your stakeholders? What does your employee think of it? Your board thinks of it. So I think there are many factors at play. So what exactly is it, that problem that you are trying to solve? So this is not a very good question, because there are many different types of distributed ledgers. There's IOTA talking about trade and supply chains, R3 Corda supply chains, Ethereum, IBM's tracing mangoes and food on blockchain. So the tip and the technique to answering a better question is PICO approach. What is the problem? What's the intervention? What is the comparison? And what's the outcome? So what problem are you trying to solve? What intervention are you going to apply? against what, yeah, and what's the outcome. So I would phrase this question like this. So compared to existing traditional database-based infrastructure, if I use a private permissioned blockchain, which could be Hyperledger and so on, does it save time, reduce cost, and improve my food integrity and increase customer satisfaction? And this is just 4 I have mentioned. You can add few more, but I think you got the point that what exactly is it that you are trying to achieve, and the tracking of seafood. So that's your the product that you are accessing, via the supply chain based in India. You could be in Jakarta, you could be in London, you could be anywhere. And the demographics also play an important part. Which country are you using it, and so on. So PICO approach, very important. So this is a better question. Okay, so where to search for evidence? I think this is a very important chart. You may have seen this before. Not all evidence is the same. Some evidence is very poor quality, and as you go up on this hierarchy, you will see that this is what we call filtered evidence, so filtered research. So at the top you have research studies, peer-reviewed research, systematic reviews, meta-analysis, and so on. So these are scientific studies. These are the studies that are usually double-checked, triple-checked by the peer reviewers in a very independent, double-blind fashion, and they are presumed to be of good quality when it comes to making important decisions. So if there is one available, then I think you should start from the top. If there is no research available on that particular topic, then you can look at, was there any case study or any essay or any review article available. So where to search for it? So there are different search engines. I think just random Google search is not very effective because you get all kinds of unfiltered information. So one is Directory of Open Access Journal. All articles and all research that is there is we know that it's good quality, it's peer reviewed, because Directory of Open Access Journal only lists journals that are good quality and they have a peer review open access policy in place. Others are Semantic Scholar, Microsoft Academic Scopus, and so on. So this is one of the articles that was published in the JBBA, and you can find it in the Directory of Open Access Journals. This is another one. So the next step is appraising the evidence. So once you have got the evidence, what do I do with it? So you do critical appraisal. So critical appraisal is essentially examining the piece of information. You can do it yourself. There are also courses available. Universities are offering courses on how to appraise the quality of the evidence. So I'm going to show you some very quickly some of the papers starting from the top of that hierarchy that I just showed you. You might be asking, well, are there any meta-analysis, systematic reviews, research papers available in blockchain? Yes, there are many. As you go down, you'll find more and more, because there is more unfiltered information than filtered information. So this is a systematic review. This is a meta-analysis, and some research papers that we publish in the JBBA, case studies, critical reviews, analysis, essay, and so on. The next step is you assess the results. Why? I think it's important that people should benefit from the results that you have got and the experiments that you have conducted, because that's how we all learn. So before even you reach that stage, right at the start of your experiment or case study, you have to be very clear why you are doing it, what problem you are trying to solve, when are you going to assess the results, how are you going to assess the results. And this is the fundamentals of any research paper that you write. So very clearly defined what are you going to achieve, what are you going to do with the results, and how are you going to measure the impact and influence of what you have achieved. So just saying that these are my results is not enough. What's the point of doing any research or any study? It's to benefit your own organization and to benefit the world. So how are you going to see the results? So for example, if you have voted on the blockchain, what were the outcomes? Did it help? What worked? What didn't work? So people need to know. So it's important to write them down. It's important to write down your results and disseminate your findings. Why are we not using evidence-based blockchain? I think there are a couple of important reasons. One is our own beliefs and our own cognitive biases. I think we have very firmly held views on a lot of things, and we tend to go and confirm those beliefs when we are looking for information. We tend not to go against our own views. So this is human nature. These are the biases that we have, all of us have, and I think this is a major barrier. We don't often want to look at the opposite or the contrary of what we already believe. So as an evidence-based practitioner, it's very important to look at with a very open mind all sources of information and then come to a conclusion. I think the other thing is organizational culture. In most organizations, you have a system in place where somebody in the hierarchy makes a decision, and if you are an evidence-based practitioner, you can actually challenge some of those decisions. Say, well, hang on, what's the evidence for implementing this? Is there any scientific evidence? You tell us that you're going to invest 500 million in this organization or blockchain project, but hang on, is there any scientific evidence for this? Does it work? So evidence-based blockchain gives power back to people. It gives power back to anybody in the organization to ask questions, to challenge the beliefs, and just ask a simple question: why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Does it work? Show me the evidence. What are the risks of not following evidence-based? Well, we have seen already waste of resources. If you are a policymaker, you should better be making decisions based on high-quality evidence. If we do end up making policies and benchmarks and frameworks based on poor quality information, then we end up losing a lot of money down the track. We end up harming our communities. So very, very important that we make decisions which are based on quality evidence. Policymakers are increasingly looking at high quality research and consensus information to make decisions. So the risk is that you will make ineffective policies and you lose a lot of funding. So how to follow EBB? Well, as an individual, always start by asking a question: why? You are at an event, you are attending this Blockjakarta conference today. Just ask the question: why? How does this person know that it works? Why should I believe him or them? And how is it going to help me and my organization? And is there a data available? So why? Has this person got any vested interest in telling me that this blockchain solution is the best? It may be the best, but I need to see the evidence. I need to see the science. I need to see peer-reviewed data. Okay, and then I'm happy to change my mind. But as an evidence-based practitioner, I want to know, does it work? Why it works? How it works? I think as an organization, if you are a leader of an organization, very important to go through the 5 steps: ask, acquire, appraise, apply, assess, and then make a conclusion or make a judgment, make an informed decision. So I would like to end my presentation here. We have a Center for Evidence-Based Blockchain, which is a consortium of industry think tanks, our own BBA members, scholars and researchers. This is the website, and if you have any questions, you can send us an email on ebb@britishblockchainassociation.org.
Dr. Naqvi, thank you so much for your presentation. If you can just stop sharing so I can see you live then.
Yeah.
Your video, yeah. So thank you so much for presenting today, Doctor. And I should tell you something, that you are the first speaker today who has got over 1,000 likes for the session.
Wow.
Okay? Yeah. So it is indeed great. I have seen this hunger in Indonesia, that people need technical information. They need to know about the critical subjects. So I'm sure once this COVID scenario is finished and we are all able to travel, we will definitely call you to Indonesia, where you can be with the public in a much more longer period of time for a proper longer session, and then probably you can interact more with them as well. I'm sure there's a lot of scope for your expertise in Indonesia. So I once again thank you from Indonesia. Thank you for attending Blockjakarta conference. We hope to see you again, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Yeah. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now shift to the new session. There's an interesting panel on national cryptocurrencies waiting for us. So please go to the next room, or we will move you automatically. Thank you so much.